Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell had survived things most people couldn't imagine. 20 years in the Navy, 4 combat deployments, 2 years as one of the first women to complete SEAL training. She'd earned every scar, every medal, every ounce of respect from the men who fought beside her. But nothing had prepared her for retirement. At 42 years old, Sarah found herself in Oak Ridge, Virginia, a quiet town 20 miles from the naval base where she'd spent her final years of service. The town was pleasant enough, tree-lined streets, a main square with a coffee shop and hardware store, neighbors who waved from their porches. It was exactly the kind of place she'd dreamed about during long nights in Afghanistan. Her new house was a small ranch-style home with a garage she planned to convert into a woodworking shop. After 2 decades of following orders and living out of a duffel bag, she was ready for something simple, something peaceful. She should have known peace never lasted. It was a Tuesday morning in early September when Sarah decided to visit the local gym. She'd found it online, Oak Ridge Fitness Center, a no-frills place with weights, machines, and a boxing ring in the corner, perfect for maintaining the conditioning that had been drilled into her for 2 decades. The gym was quiet when she arrived at 6 in the morning. A few older men sat on the benches by the free weights, talking about football. A woman in her 50s walked steadily on a treadmill. Behind the front desk sat a young man, maybe 25, scrolling through his phone. Sarah signed up for a month-to-month membership and headed to the locker room to change. That's when she met them. 3 women stood by the mirrors, already dressed in matching workout sets, expensive brands, coordinated colors, hair tied back in perfect ponytails. They looked to be in their late 30s, the kind of women who had never missed a PTA meeting or a salon appointment. The tallest one, a blonde with sharp features and calculating eyes, noticed Sarah first. "Well, look who we have here," she said, her voice carrying that particular tone Sarah recognized instantly, the sound of someone looking for a target. Fresh meat. Sarah didn't respond. She opened her locker and began pulling out her workout clothes, plain black shorts and a gray navy t-shirt. Nothing fancy, nothing that would draw attention. "That's a nice bra," the blonde woman said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Sarah glanced up. The woman was staring directly at her, a smirk on her perfectly made-up face. The other 2 women giggled. "Excuse me," Sarah said quietly. "Your bra," the woman continued, gesturing toward Sarah's sports bra as she changed. "Very functional. Where'd you get it?" "The military surplus store." More giggles from the others. Sarah took a slow breath. She'd dealt with hazing before, back in her early days in the Navy. She'd dealt with men who thought women didn't belong in combat. She'd dealt with enemy fighters who wanted her dead. 3 suburban women making fun of her underwear didn't even register on the scale of things she'd endured. "I'm just here to work out," Sarah said calmly, pulling her shirt over her head. "Of course you are, sweetie," the blonde said. "We all are. I'm Victoria, by the way. This is Madison and Tiffany. We're here every morning. We basically run this place." Sarah nodded politely and closed her locker. "You're new in town," Victoria pressed. "Just moved here last month." "How nice. What brings you to little old Oak Ridge?" "Retirement." "Retirement," Madison, a brunette with too much perfume, laughed. "You're what, 40? That's a little early, isn't it?" "Military retirement," Sarah clarified. "Oh," Victoria's smile widened. "So you were in the service. How quaint. What did you do? Paperwork, cooking?" Sarah felt something tighten in her chest, but she kept her expression neutral. "I was a SEAL." The silence that followed lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then Victoria burst out laughing. "A SEAL, like the animal? That's adorable." "Navy SEAL," Sarah said evenly. "Special operations." "Sure you were, honey," Tiffany chimed in, examining her manicured nails. "And I'm an astronaut." Sarah picked up her water bottle and headed for the door. "Wait," Victoria called after her. Don't be offended. We're just teasing. It's just. You don't really look like a Navy SEAL. You look more like a soccer mom who let herself go." The other women laughed again, harder this time. Sarah paused at the door. Every instinct told her to walk away, to be the bigger person, to let it go. But something in Victoria's voice, that casual cruelty, that absolute certainty that she could say whatever she wanted without consequences, made Sarah turn around. "You're right," Sarah said quietly. "I don't look like what you think a Navy SEAL should look like. Most people don't know what we actually look like. We blend in. That's kind of the point." Victoria's smile faltered for just a moment. "But here's what I do know," Sarah continued, her voice still calm but carrying an edge now. "I know that making fun of someone in a locker room says more about you than it does about me. I know that real strength doesn't need an audience. And I know that I've been up since 04:30, I'm here to work out, and I don't have time for high school games." She walked out before Victoria could respond. The gym's main floor was busier now. Sarah claimed a bench in the corner and started her routine: push-ups, pull-ups, dumbbell work. She moved through the exercises with practiced efficiency, her mind focused on form and breathing. She didn't notice the three women emerge from the locker room and take up position on the treadmills directly in her line of sight. She didn't notice them whispering and glancing in her direction. She didn't notice Victoria pulling out her phone and taking a photo. Not yet. Sarah finished her workout an hour later, her shirt soaked with sweat, her muscles pleasantly burning. She headed back to the locker room for a quick shower. The three women were gone. She showered, changed back into her civilian clothes, jeans and a simple blue blouse, and headed home. Her phone buzzed as she pulled into her driveway. It was a text from an unknown number. "Saw you at the gym this morning. Nice to know we have such a tough new neighbor. LOL." Attached was a photo. It was Sarah mid-workout, her face red and strained as she did pull-ups. Someone had added a caption in pink letters: "Local Navy SEAL struggles with basic exercises." Sarah stared at the photo for a long moment. Then she deleted the text and went inside. She told herself it didn't matter. She told herself these were just bored women with too much time and too little purpose. She told herself to let it go. But over the next 2 weeks, the harassment didn't stop. Every time Sarah went to the gym, Victoria and her friends were there. They'd make comments loud enough for others to hear. They'd laugh when Sarah walked past. They'd take photos and videos when they thought she wasn't looking. Sarah found out, through a friendly warning from the older woman on the treadmill, that Victoria was married to Oak Ridge's mayor. Madison's husband owned the biggest real estate company in town. Tiffany was the daughter of a retired Navy captain who still had connections on the base. They were, as Victoria had claimed, the women who ran this town. And they decided Sarah was their new target. The breaking point came on a Thursday morning. Sarah was in the boxing ring working through combinations on the heavy bag. She'd been a boxer in high school before the Navy, and she'd kept up the skill. It was meditation for her, the rhythm of fists against leather, the burn in her shoulders, the quiet focus required. She didn't hear Victoria and her friends approach until they were ringside. "Look at her go," Victoria said loudly. "Thinks she's Rocky or something." "Maybe we should get her an autograph book," Madison added, "for all her imaginary accomplishments." Sarah kept punching. "You know what I think?" Victoria's voice grew sharper. "I think she's lying about the whole SEAL thing. I think she was probably a secretary or something, and now she's trying to play soldier." Sarah stopped. She turned to face them, her chest heaving, sweat dripping down her face. "My husband looked into it," Victoria continued, smiling. "There's no record of any woman named Sarah Mitchell in the SEAL teams." "That's because those records are classified," Sarah said quietly. "Sure they are. Or maybe you're just a liar looking for attention." The gym had gone quiet. Everyone was watching now. Sarah stepped out of the ring and walked directly up to Victoria. She stopped exactly 2 feet away, close enough to make her point, far enough to avoid any claim of aggression. "I don't need to prove anything to you," Sarah said, her voice low and controlled. "I did my 20 years. I earned my retirement. I came to this town for peace and quiet. But if you keep pushing, you're going to find out exactly what a Navy SEAL is capable of." Victoria's face flushed red. "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise," Sarah said. "Leave me alone." She walked back to the locker room, grabbed her bag and left. That afternoon, Sarah's phone rang. It was the gym manager. "Ms. Mitchell, I'm sorry, but we've received complaints about your behavior. Several members feel threatened by you. I'm going to have to ask you to cancel your membership." "Complaints from who?" Sarah asked, though she already knew. "I can't discuss that, but effective immediately, you're no longer welcome at Oak Ridge Fitness Center." Sarah hung up and sat in her kitchen, staring at the wall. 20 years of service to her country. 20 years of sacrifice, of blood and sweat and sleepless nights. 20 years of doing the impossible. And she couldn't even work out at a small-town gym without being harassed out of it. Something inside her shifted. She'd tried being polite. She'd tried walking away. She'd tried letting it go. Now it was time to try something else. Sarah opened her laptop and started making calls. The next morning, Sarah didn't go to the gym. Instead, she drove 40 minutes to the naval base where she'd spent her final years of active service. The guard at the gate recognized her immediately. "Commander Mitchell, good to see you, ma'am. What brings you back?" "Just visiting some old friends," Sarah said with a smile. The base looked exactly as she remembered. Gray buildings, perfectly trimmed lawns, personnel moving with purpose. It smelled like diesel fuel and fresh paint and possibility. Sarah's first stop was the headquarters building. She signed in at the front desk and asked for Master Chief Daniel Ortiz. 5 minutes later, a stocky man with graying hair and a handshake like a vice grip emerged from the elevator. "Sarah Mitchell," he said, grinning widely. "Heard you were hiding out in civilian land. How's retirement treating you?" "It's been interesting," Sarah said. They grabbed coffee at the base cafe and Sarah told him everything. The gym, Victoria and her friends, the harassment, getting kicked out. Daniel listened without interrupting. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair and shook his head. "Some people never grow up," he said. "High school never ended for them. They just got older and meaner." "I'm not looking for sympathy," Sarah said. "I'm looking for advice. How do I handle this?" "You want my honest answer." "Always." "You drop it. You find another gym, you avoid these women, and you move on with your life. They're not worth your time or energy." Sarah nodded slowly. "That's what I thought you'd say, and normally I'd agree with you. But this isn't about me anymore. This morning I got a message from a young woman who just moved to Oak Ridge. She's a veteran too, Army, served in Iraq. She joined that gym last week. Victoria and her crew have already started in on her." Daniel's expression darkened. "They're bullies," Sarah continued. "And bullies don't stop until someone stops them. If I walk away, they'll just find another target, and another, and another." "So what are you going to do?" Sarah smiled. "I'm going to remind them what happens when you mess with the wrong person." "Without breaking any laws," Daniel said quickly. "Of course, without breaking any laws. I'm not going to jail for these people, but I am going to make them regret underestimating me." "Need any help?" Sarah's smile widened. "Actually, yes. I need access to the base gym, and I need you to spread the word that I'm training for something." "Training for what?" "You'll see." Over the next week, Sarah became a ghost in Oak Ridge. She didn't go into town except for groceries. She didn't respond to any more messages or calls from unknown numbers. She let Victoria and her friends think they'd won. Meanwhile, she was at the base gym every morning at 0500, putting herself through the kind of training regimen that would have broken most people half her age. Master Chief Ortiz kept his word. He mentioned to a few people that Sarah was training. Those people mentioned it to others. Within days, the rumor mill was churning. Training for what? People asked. No idea, Ortiz would say with a shrug. But you know Commander Mitchell. When she sets her mind to something, it gets done. Sarah also made a few other calls. The first was to Jennifer Hayes, a former teammate who'd left the SEALs 3 years earlier and now ran a women's self-defense organization. Sarah Mitchell, Jennifer said when she answered. This is either very good news or very bad news. Depends on your perspective. How would you like to come to Virginia for a weekend? What are we doing? Teaching some people a lesson. I'm in. Who are we teaching? Sarah explained the situation. Jennifer was quiet for a moment, then she laughed. Oh, this is going to be fun, count me in, and I'm bringing Ashley. Ashley Chen was another former SEAL, a weapons specialist who'd retired 2 years ago and now coached CrossFit in California. The more the merrier, Sarah said. Her second call was to Marcus Thompson, a former Army Ranger who now worked as a private investigator. Marcus, I need you to look into 3 women for me. Is this official or personal? Personal but legal. I just need background information. Public records, social media, that kind of thing. Names. Sarah gave him the details. Give me 72 hours, Marcus said. 3 days later, he called back. Your instincts were right, he said. These women are serial bullies. I found social media posts going back years. They've targeted at least a dozen different people. Mostly women who are new to town or don't fit into their social circle. They get people fired from jobs, kicked out of organizations, run out of town. How do they get away with it? Connections. Victoria's husband is the mayor. Madison's husband owns half the commercial real estate in the county. Tiffany's father is retired Navy brass who golfs with everyone who matters. They've built a network that protects them. What about the people they've targeted? Has anyone fought back? A few tried, none succeeded, most just left town. Send me everything you found, Sarah said. What are you planning? Something they won't expect. While Marcus gathered information, Sarah reached out to the young Army veteran who'd been targeted at the gym. Her name was Alicia Rodriguez, 28 years old, served 2 tours in Iraq as a combat medic. They met for coffee at a shop in the next town over. Thank you for reaching out, Alicia said. I thought I was going crazy. These women they're relentless. I know, Sarah said, and I'm sorry you've had to deal with it. The worst part is I feel stupid for letting it get to me. I've been shot at. I've treated soldiers with missing limbs. I've seen things that would give most people nightmares. But 3 mean girls in a gym, that's what gets under my skin. It's not stupid, Sarah said gently. It's different. In combat, you know who the enemy is. You know the rules of engagement. This is psychological warfare, and it's designed to make you feel exactly like you're feeling right now. So what do? You help me show them what real strength looks like. Sarah laid out her plan. Alicia listened, her eyes growing wider. When Sarah finished, Alicia started laughing. That's brilliant, she said. Count me in. What do you need from me? Patience and trust, and maybe some of your old Army buddies if they're local. I know at least 5 veterans in the area. I'll reach out. By the end of the second week, Sarah had assembled a team. Jennifer and Ashley flew in from California. Marcus provided detailed dossiers on Victoria, Madison, and Tiffany. Alicia brought 3 other veterans, 2 men and 1 woman, all of whom had their own stories about being targeted or pushed out of Oak Ridge social circles. And Master Chief Ortiz secured permission for Sarah to use the base's facilities for what she was calling a community event. Sarah gathered everyone in her living room on a Saturday evening. "First, thank you all for coming," she said. "I know this seems crazy. Most people would say we should just let it go, find another gym, move on with our lives. But I think we all know that's not the answer." Heads nodded around the room. "These women have been doing this for years," Sarah continued. "They target people they think are weak or different. They use their connections to make life miserable for anyone who doesn't fit their idea of acceptable, and they get away with it because most people don't fight back." "So we're fighting back," Jennifer said. "It wasn't a question." "We're showing them what real strength is," Sarah corrected. "We're not going to threaten them or harass them or stoop to their level. We're going to do something they can't ignore and can't dismiss." "Which is?" Ashley asked. Sarah smiled. "We're going to invite them to compete." She pulled up a document on her laptop and projected it on her TV screen. "This is the Oak Ridge Challenge," she said. "A one-day fitness competition open to all residents, teams of 3, 4 events, a 5-kilometer run and obstacle course, a strength challenge, and a team relay. All proceeds go to a veterans' mental health charity." "And you're challenging Victoria's crew directly?" Marcus asked. "Not directly. That would be too easy for them to decline. Instead, I'm making it public. I'm putting up flyers all over town. I'm posting about it on social media. I'm making it the biggest event Oak Ridge has seen in years, and I'm making sure everyone knows that the women who run this town will be there." "They'll never accept," Alicia said. "They're not actually fit, they just dress like they are." "They will if their egos demand it," Sarah said. "Victoria positioned herself as the queen bee of that gym. If she backs down from a public challenge, she loses face. Her entire identity is built on being superior to everyone else. She can't afford to look weak." "And when she accepts," Jennifer asked, "then we show her what 20 years in special operations actually looks like." The room erupted in grins. "I like it," Ashley said. "But we need to be smart about this. We can't make it look like we're just trying to humiliate them. It has to be legitimate." "Agreed," Sarah said. "That's why the proceeds go to charity. That's why we're opening it to everyone in town. That's why we're making it family-friendly with food trucks and music. This isn't about revenge. It's about showing the community what real strength and real character look like." "When do we start?" Ortiz asked. "Tomorrow," Sarah said. "We have 3 weeks to pull this together. Marcus, I need you to handle permits and logistics. Jennifer and Ashley, you're designing the obstacle course. Alicia, you're in charge of publicity. Ortiz, I need you to recruit volunteers from the base." "What are you going to do?" Marcus asked. "I'm going to deliver the invitation personally." The next morning, Sarah walked into the mayor's office. The receptionist looked up in surprise. "Can I help you?" "I'd like to see Mayor Richards, please. It's about a community event." "Do you have an appointment?" "No, but I only need 5 minutes." The receptionist made a phone call. 2 minutes later, Sarah was shown into a spacious office with photographs of the mayor shaking hands with various dignitaries. Mayor Thomas Richards stood up from behind his desk. He was in his mid-40s, handsome in a carefully maintained way, with the smile of a man who'd spent years in politics. "Ms. Mitchell, is it? My assistant says you have a proposal for a community event." "That's right," Sarah said, handing him a folder. "It's a charity fitness challenge. One day, open to all residents, all proceeds go to veterans' mental health services." The mayor flipped through the proposal. "This looks well thought out. When are you planning this?" 3 weeks from now, Saturday, October 14th. "That's ambitious." "I have a good team." "I see you're planning to use Memorial Park. That's our largest public space. You'll need approval from the town council." "I'm aware. I was hoping you might help expedite that process." The mayor sat back in his chair, studying her. "You're the woman my wife mentioned, from the gym." Sarah kept her expression neutral. I've been to Oak Ridge Fitness Center, yes. She said you claim to be a Navy SEAL. I am a Navy SEAL, retired. Those records are classified, though, so it's hard to verify. Sarah reached into her bag and pulled out another folder. Inside were commendation letters, certificates, photographs of her in uniform standing with other SEALs whose faces had been blurred for security reasons. The mayor looked through them carefully. "These are impressive," he said finally, "if they're real." "They are. My wife seems to think you're a troublemaker. Your wife harassed me until I was banned from the gym. Then she started harassing another veteran. I'm not the troublemaker in this situation, Mayor Richards." The mayor's smile faded. "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth. But I'm not here to file complaints or start a fight. I'm here to do something positive for this community. This event will bring people together, raise money for a good cause, and show what Oak Ridge can accomplish when people work together. And you want my support. I want your approval for the permits. Your support would be appreciated but isn't required." The mayor tapped his fingers on the desk. Sarah could see him calculating, weighing his wife's opinion against the political value of a successful charity event. "I'll put it before the council tomorrow," he said finally. "If they approve it, you'll have your permits." "Thank you." Sarah stood to leave. "Ms. Mitchell," the mayor said as she reached the door, "my wife and her friends are very involved in this community. They raise a lot of money for local causes. They're respected." "I'm sure they are. I'd hate to see a newcomer cause unnecessary division." Sarah turned back to face him. "Mayor Richards, I've spent 20 years serving this country. I've led teams into hostile territory. I've made decisions that meant life or death for the people under my command. I didn't do any of that to come home and be bullied by your wife and her friends. This event is going to happen with or without official approval, but it would be better for everyone if we did this the right way." The mayor held her gaze for a long moment. Then he nodded. "The council meets at 7 tomorrow evening. You're welcome to attend and present your proposal." "I'll be there." Sarah left the office and texted her team. "Phase 1 complete. Council meeting tomorrow. Time to make this real." The Oak Ridge Town Council meeting was held in a small chamber with uncomfortable chairs and fluorescent lighting that hummed constantly. Sarah arrived 15 minutes early and took a seat in the back row. The room filled up slowly. Council members, a few residents interested in various agenda items, and a reporter from the local newspaper who looked barely old enough to vote. At exactly 7 o'clock, Mayor Richards called the meeting to order. They worked through the usual business, budget discussions, zoning requests, a debate about parking meters downtown. Sarah waited patiently. Finally, at 7:45, the mayor said, "We have one more item, a proposal for a community event from a new resident. Ms. Mitchell, would you like to present?" Sarah stood and walked to the front of the room. She'd worn her dress uniform for the occasion, not to show off but to establish credibility. The ribbons on her chest told a story that words couldn't: combat deployments, commendations, years of service. She saw several council members sit up straighter when they noticed. "Good evening," Sarah began. "My name is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, United States Navy, retired. 3 weeks ago, I moved to Oak Ridge looking for a quiet place to enjoy my retirement. What I've found is a community with a lot of potential but also some challenges." She clicked to the first slide of her presentation, a photo of Main Street, American flags hanging from the lamp posts. "I've also found a community that values service and sacrifice. I've seen the memorials in Memorial Park. I've read about Oak Ridge's history of supporting veterans, so I'm proposing an event that builds on that legacy." Click next slide, the Oak Ridge Challenge logo designed by Ashley. The Oak Ridge Challenge is a one-day fitness competition open to all residents. Teams of 3 will compete in 4 events designed to test endurance, strength, teamwork, and determination. All proceeds will go to the Veterans Crisis Line and local mental health services for veterans. She walked through the logistics, the course layout in Memorial Park, safety measures, insurance coverage, expected attendance, budget projections. The council members asked questions. Sarah answered each one clearly and professionally. Finally, Councilwoman Andrea Parks, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes, raised her hand. Ms. Mitchell, this is an impressive proposal, but I have to ask, why? You just moved here. You don't know most of us. Why put in all this work for a town you barely know? Sarah paused, choosing her words carefully. Because I've spent my entire adult life serving this country. That doesn't stop just because I took off the uniform. Every community has veterans who are struggling, who feel disconnected, who need support. This event is a way to remind them they're not forgotten. It's also a way to show everyone in Oak Ridge what we're capable of when we work together, instead of tearing each other down. She let that last phrase hang in the air for a moment. I may be new here, but I've already seen that this town has some people who want to divide and some who want to unite. I'm betting on the ones who want to unite. The council voted, 6 in favor, 1 abstention. The permits were approved. As Sarah packed up her materials, Councilwoman Parks approached her. That was well done, she said quietly. And I want you to know I've heard about the situation at the gym. My niece was treated the same way by those women 2 years ago. She ended up leaving town. I'm sorry that happened. Don't be sorry, do something about it, Parks smiled, which I suspect you're already doing. Word of the Oak Ridge Challenge spread quickly. Alicia and her team put up flyers in every business on Main Street. They posted in local Facebook groups and on the community bulletin board at the library. They sent press releases to newspapers in 3 counties. Within 48 hours, the event had its own hashtag, and more than 100 people had expressed interest in competing. The local paper ran a front-page story. Retired Navy SEAL organizes charity challenge. The pressure on Victoria and her friends mounted. Sarah watched from a distance as the social media chatter grew. People tagged Victoria in posts about the event. Friends asked if she was going to compete. Someone created a poll asking who would win. Then, on a Wednesday evening 10 days before the event, Sarah's phone rang. This is Victoria Richards. I think we need to talk. They met at a coffee shop, Neutral Territory. Victoria arrived wearing designer athleisure and oversized sunglasses despite being indoors. She ordered a skinny vanilla latte and sat down across from Sarah with the air of someone doing a great favor. So, Victoria said, removing her sunglasses, this little event of yours is causing quite a stir. That's the idea, Sarah said. It's for charity. Of course it is. Very noble, very transparent. Transparent. Oh, please, this is obviously about me, about the gym. You're trying to embarrass me. Sarah took a sip of her coffee. Actually, this has nothing to do with you. It's about raising money for veterans and bringing the community together. Then why does everyone keep asking if I'm going to compete? Why does every conversation somehow turn into a comparison between me and you? Maybe because you've spent years positioning yourself as the fitness queen of Oak Ridge. People naturally want to see if you can back that up. Victoria's jaw tightened. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. Then don't compete. No one's forcing you. If I don't compete, everyone will think I'm afraid of you. Are you? The question hung between them. Victoria leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to compete in your little challenge. My team, Madison, Tiffany, and myself, will compete, and we're going to win. Then you're going to leave town and stop causing problems. And if you don't win? We will. I have a personal trainer. We've been working out 5 days a week for years. You might have been a SEAL once upon a time, but you're retired now. You're older. You're past your prime. Sarah smiled. I guess we'll find out. Yes, Victoria said, standing up. We will. And just so we're clear, this is personal now. I'm not just competing for fun. I'm competing to humiliate you the way you tried to humiliate me. I never tried to humiliate you, Victoria. I tried to work out in peace. You made it personal. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Victoria put her sunglasses back on. See you at the starting line. After she left, Sarah sat in the coffee shop for a few more minutes, watching the people of Oak Ridge go about their evening. Families getting ice cream, couples walking hand in hand, teenagers laughing outside the movie theater. This was what she'd fought for all those years. This peaceful, ordinary life that most people took for granted. She wasn't about to let 3 bullies poison it. Sarah pulled out her phone and sent a group text to her team. Victoria took the bait. Game on. The responses came back immediately. Jennifer, time to show them what real operators look like. Ashley, I've been waiting for this. Alicia, let's do this. Ortiz, give him hell, Commander. The next 10 days were a whirlwind of preparation. The obstacle course took shape in Memorial Park, rope climbs, wall traversals, tire flips, a mud pit, monkey bars. Nothing impossible for a fit civilian, but nothing easy either. The running route was mapped and marked. The strength challenge was designed, a combination of weighted carries, tire flips, and sandbag tosses. The relay was finalized. Local businesses donated water, food, and supplies. Volunteers signed up to help with setup and scoring. The fire department agreed to provide medical standby. Sarah's team trained together every morning at the base gym. Jennifer and Ashley pushed everyone hard, designing workouts that built team cohesion as much as physical conditioning. Remember, Jennifer said during one training session, this isn't about showing off. It's about executing as a team. Sarah calls the shots, Ashley handles navigation through the course, I handle packing. We work together. What if Victoria's team is actually good? Alicia asked. Ashley laughed. They won't be, trust me. I've seen 1,000 Victoria types. They think hearing a personal trainer and posting gym selfies makes them athletes. When things get hard, when it's not pretty anymore, they fall apart. Don't underestimate them, Sarah cautioned. Underestimating your opponent is how you lose. Noted, Ashley said. But seriously, we've got this. 2 days before the event, Sarah received a surprise visitor. She was in her garage organizing equipment when a black sedan pulled up to her house. A man in his 60s, wearing khakis and a polo shirt, stepped out. Sarah recognized him from the photos Marcus had sent. Captain James Hartwell, retired Navy, Tiffany's father. Commander Mitchell, he said, extending his hand. I was hoping we could talk. Sarah shook his hand. Captain Hartwell, what can I do for you? May I come in? They sat in Sarah's living room. I'll get straight to the point, Hartwell said. My daughter is participating in this challenge of yours. She and her friends are taking it very seriously. As they should, it's a legitimate competition. I've heard about the situation at the gym, the harassment. From your daughter's perspective, I'm sure. Actually, from several sources, including some that corroborated your version of events, he sighed. My daughter has always been competitive. Sometimes that competitiveness crosses lines. With respect, sir, this goes beyond competitiveness. This is systematic bullying. I know, and I'm not proud of it, but she's still my daughter. I understand, but that doesn't excuse her behavior. No, it doesn't. Hartwell leaned forward. I'm not here to ask you to go easy on her. I'm here to tell you that whatever happens on Saturday, I'll support it. If you win, if you embarrass them, they deserve it. They need to learn that actions have consequences. Sarah studied him carefully. That must be hard to say about your own daughter. It is, but I spent 30 years in the Navy teaching young people about honor, integrity, and respect. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't hold my own family to the same standards." He stood up. "Good luck on Saturday, Commander. Give them hell." After he left, Sarah sat quietly for a moment. Then she called Jennifer. "How are we looking for Saturday?" "Ready to rock. Course is set, volunteers are briefed, equipment is staged. All we need is the competitors." "And our team?" "Sarah, we could do this course blindfolded and still win. The question isn't whether we'll win. The question is how badly we embarrass them in the process. Let's not make embarrassing them the goal. Let's make showing the community what real strength looks like the goal." "You're a better person than me," Jennifer said. "But fine, we'll be dignified winners." "Thank you." Sarah hung up and looked at the calendar. 2 more days. Then everyone would see what a real Navy SEAL was capable of. Saturday morning arrived with perfect October weather, clear skies, temperature in the low 60s, a light breeze. Memorial Park was transformed. Vendors set up food trucks along the perimeter. A local band tuned their instruments on a small stage. Volunteers in bright yellow shirts directed parking and handed out programs. By 8 o'clock, more than 300 people had gathered. Sarah stood near the registration table, wearing simple black athletic pants and a gray shirt with the Navy SEAL trident on the chest. Jennifer and Ashley flanked her, both dressed similarly. They looked like exactly what they were, professional warriors who happened to be women. Alicia approached with her team, the 3 other veterans who'd been targeted by Victoria's group. They'd formed their own squad for the competition. "Nervous?" Alicia asked Sarah. "Not even a little." "Good, because half the town is here to watch you take down Victoria." "That's not what this is about." "Maybe not for you, but for everyone else. This is the most entertainment Oak Ridge has seen in years." At 8:30, Victoria arrived. She pulled up in a white Range Rover with Madison and Tiffany in tow. All 3 wore matching outfits, pink and white, professionally coordinated, hair and makeup perfect. They looked like they were heading to a fitness photo shoot, not a muddy obstacle course. A small crowd gathered to watch them make their entrance. Victoria waved and smiled, playing to the audience. "Morning, everyone. Beautiful day for a challenge, isn't it?" Sarah watched from a distance. Jennifer leaned over and whispered, "She's nervous. Look at her hands." Sarah looked. Victoria's fingers were clenched tight around her water bottle, knuckles white. "She knows she's in over her head," Ashley added. "She's just too proud to back out." At 9 o'clock sharp, Mayor Richards took the microphone on the stage. "Good morning, Oak Ridge. Thank you all for coming out to support our veterans and our community. This event was organized by one of our newest residents, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell, and I think we owe her a round of applause for bringing us all together." The crowd clapped. Sarah gave a small wave. The mayor continued, "We have 12 teams competing today in 4 events. All proceeds go to the Veterans Crisis Line and local mental health services. Let's remember, this is about community, charity, and showing support for those who served." He went through the rules and safety guidelines, then introduced each team. When he called Team Victory, Victoria Richards, Madison Chen, and Tiffany Hartwell, the trio stepped forward to enthusiastic applause from their supporters. When he called Team Trident, Sarah Mitchell, Jennifer Hayes, and Ashley Chen, the applause was different, deeper, more respectful, with several veterans in the crowd standing up. The first event was the 5-kilometer run through town. All 12 teams lined up at the starting line. Sarah positioned herself in the middle of her team, with Jennifer on her left and Ashley on her right. Victoria's team lined up 3 positions over. Victoria caught Sarah's eye and smirked. Sarah gave her a polite nod. The starting gun fired. 12 teams took off through Memorial Park and onto Main Street. Sarah set a steady pace, Not too fast, not too slow. This wasn't about burning out early. This was about consistency. 7-minute miles, she called to her team. Stay together. They moved as one unit, their breathing synchronized, their footfalls matched. 20 years of training showed in every stride. Victoria's team started fast, too fast. They pulled ahead in the first quarter mile, Victoria glancing back with a triumphant smile. "Let them go," Sarah said calmly. "They'll pay for it later." By mile 2, Victoria's team started to slow. By mile 3, they were visibly struggling. Madison was falling behind, her breathing ragged. Tiffany's perfect form had deteriorated into a survival shuffle. Sarah's team maintained their pace, steady and relentless. They passed Victoria's team at mile 4. "Looking good, ladies," Jennifer called out as they went by. Victoria tried to respond, but couldn't spare the breath. Team Trident finished the run in 34 minutes and 12 seconds, first place overall. Victoria's team finished 7th, nearly 6 minutes behind. Event 2 was the obstacle course. This was where Sarah's training really showed. The course started with a rope climb, 20 feet straight up, ring the bell at the top, controlled descent. Jennifer went first, moving up the rope with practiced ease. Sarah followed, her technique perfect from years of SEAL training. Ashley brought up the rear. 20 yards away, Victoria struggled halfway up the rope before her grip failed. She dropped to the ground, tried again, made it 3/4 of the way, rang the bell, and practically fell on the descent. The course continued, wall traversals, tire flips, a crawl under barbed wire through mud, monkey bars, a weighted sled pull. Sarah's team moved through each obstacle with efficiency and precision. They didn't show off. They didn't celebrate. They just executed. Victoria's team fought through each challenge. They completed the course, but they were exhausted, covered in mud and clearly struggling. When Team Trident crossed the finish line, again in first place, the crowd erupted. Sarah helped Jennifer and Ashley to their feet. They were muddy and sweating, but they were smiling. Across the course, Victoria sat in the mud, her perfect outfit ruined, her makeup streaked, her hair a mess. She looked like she might cry. Madison put a hand on her shoulder and said something. Victoria shook her head and stood up. Event 3 was the strength challenge. Teams had to work together to complete a series of tasks. Flip a 400-pound tire 10 times, carry weighted sandbags 100 yards, and toss medicine balls over an 8-foot wall. This required coordination more than individual strength. Sarah's team had practiced this specific sequence. They moved like a machine, Jennifer and Ashley flipping the tire while Sarah spotted and encouraged, all three carrying sandbags in synchronized trips, a perfect rhythm on the medicine ball tosses. Victoria's team struggled with coordination. They argued about strategy. Tiffany dropped a sandbag twice. Madison threw a medicine ball that didn't clear the wall. By the time they finished, they were in 8th place overall. Team Trident remained in first. The final event was the relay, a combination of all previous elements. Each team member had to run 800 meters, complete 3 obstacles, and tag the next team member. The crowd had swelled to nearly 500 people. Word had spread through town. This was the finale everyone wanted to see. Sarah took the first leg. She exploded off the starting line, her years of training taking over. She ran hard but controlled, completed her obstacles without hesitation, and tagged Jennifer with Team Trident in first place. Victoria took her team's first leg. She gave everything she had left, pushing through exhaustion and pride, fighting to keep her team competitive. She tagged Madison in third place. Jennifer extended the lead. Ashley brought it home. When Ashley crossed the final finish line, the time on the clock read 1 hour, 47 minutes and 31 seconds, a new course record, beating the second-place team by more than 8 minutes. The crowd went wild. Jennifer grabbed Sarah in a hug. Ashley pumped her fist. The three of them stood there, exhausted but victorious, as the rest of the teams finished. Victoria's team came in 9th overall. The awards ceremony was held an hour later, after everyone had cleaned up. Mayor Richards presented the medals: bronze for 3rd place, silver for 2nd, gold for 1st. When Team Trident stepped onto the 1st place platform, the applause was thunderous. Sarah took the microphone. "Thank you," she said simply. "Thank you to everyone who competed today. Thank you to the volunteers who made this possible. Thank you to the sponsors who donated. And thank you to this community for supporting our veterans." She paused, looking out at the crowd. "I want to say something about strength. Real strength isn't about how much you can lift or how fast you can run. Real strength is about how you treat people when you have power over them. It's about building others up instead of tearing them down. It's about using your advantages to help, not to hurt." Her eyes found Victoria in the crowd. Victoria was standing off to the side, still in her muddy clothes, arms crossed, face unreadable. "This event wasn't about proving I was better than anyone," Sarah continued. "It was about showing what we can accomplish when we work together, when we support each other, when we choose unity over division." She held up her gold medal. "This medal doesn't make me better than anyone here, but I hope this event showed everyone what dedication, discipline, and teamwork can achieve. And I hope it reminded all of us that the real competition isn't against each other, it's against our own limitations." The crowd applauded again. As Sarah stepped off the platform, Councilwoman Parks approached her. "That was a powerful message," Parks said, "and I think some people needed to hear it." "I hope so. There's something else you should know. The event raised over $30,000. That's 3 times what you projected." Sarah's eyes widened. 30,000. People were inspired. Local businesses made additional donations when they saw the turnout. "You did something special here today, Commander." As the crowd began to disperse, Sarah noticed Victoria walking toward her. Her teammates tensed, but Sarah waved them back. Victoria stopped a few feet away. Her makeup was still smeared. Her hair was still a mess. Her expensive outfit was ruined. For the first time since Sarah had met her, Victoria looked human. "You made your point," Victoria said quietly. "That wasn't the point." "Then what was?" Sarah considered her answer carefully. "The point was to show everyone in this town, including you, that real strength doesn't come from putting others down. It comes from building yourself up and helping others do the same." "You humiliated me." "No, you humiliated yourself. I just gave you a mirror." Victoria's jaw clenched. For a moment, Sarah thought she might lash out again, defend herself, make excuses. Instead, Victoria looked down at her ruined shoes. "I've been the queen bee of this town for a long time," she said finally. "People do what I say. They go along with what I want. No one challenges me." "Maybe that's the problem." "Maybe," Victoria looked up. "I saw you help that woman on the obstacle course, the one from Team 7. She was stuck on the wall and you stopped to help her over. She needed help. We're competitors, you could have left her." "That's not who I am." Victoria was quiet for a long moment. "My father called me last night. He said you were the real deal. He said I should be embarrassed by how I've acted." "Captain Hartwell is a good man." "He is, and he raised me to be better than I've been." Victoria took a deep breath. "I'm not going to pretend we're friends now. I'm not going to apologize for everything and expect you to forgive me. But I want you to know that I saw what you did today. I saw how you competed with honor, how you helped others, how you made this about something bigger than yourself." "Thank you for saying that." "I'm not done." Victoria's voice got stronger. "I also want you to know that I'm going to be better. I'm going to stop tearing people down to make myself feel bigger. I'm going to use my position in this town to actually help instead of hurt." "That would be good." And I'm going to start by making sure you get your gym membership back. I'll talk to the manager personally." Sarah shook her head. "I don't need the gym membership. I have access to the base gym. But there's a young veteran named Alicia Rodriguez who could use that membership, and she could use an apology from you and your friends." Victoria flinched but nodded. "Okay, I'll do that." She extended her hand. Sarah shook it. "Good luck, Commander Mitchell," Victoria said. "I hope you find the peace you're looking for in Oak Ridge." "Thank you, and good luck to you too." Victoria walked away, her shoulders a little straighter than they'd been before. Jennifer appeared at Sarah's side. "Did that just happen?" "I think so." "Did Victoria Richards just admit she was wrong?" "Something like that." "Will it last?" Sarah watched Victoria rejoin her friends. Madison and Tiffany were talking animatedly, probably processing their own defeat and humiliation. Victoria said something to them. They both looked surprised, then thoughtful. "I don't know," Sarah said honestly. "Change is hard, old habits die hard, but at least today she saw another way. Maybe that's enough to plant a seed." The event wound down as the sun began to set. Volunteers cleaned up the course. Vendors packed their trucks. Families headed home, kids carrying leftover prizes and parents talking about next year's event. Sarah sat on a bench in Memorial Park, watching the cleanup. Alicia joined her. "You did good today, Commander." "We all did." "No, I mean you did something more than win a race. You showed people in this town what real strength looks like. You gave people like me hope that we can find our place here." "This is your place, Alicia. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." "I won't, not anymore," Alicia smiled. "And Victoria just texted me. She wants to meet for coffee tomorrow to apologize." "Are you going to go?" "Yeah, I think I am. She might not mean it. She might revert back to her old ways. But if there's even a chance she's serious about changing, I want to support that." Sarah nodded. "That takes courage." "I learned from the best." After Alicia left, Sarah sat alone for a few more minutes. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Master Chief Ortiz. "Saw the results. Proud of you, Commander. You showed them what SEAL tough really means." Another text, this time from Marcus. "Event made the regional news. You're officially the most famous person in Oak Ridge now." Another from Jennifer. "Drinks tonight to celebrate. You earned it." Sarah smiled and stood up. 20 years in the Navy had taught her a lot of things. How to survive in hostile territory, how to lead under pressure, how to complete the mission no matter what. But the most important lesson was this: real strength wasn't about dominating others. It was about uplifting them. It wasn't about proving you were better. It was about helping others be their best. She'd come to Oak Ridge looking for peace. She'd found something better, a purpose. As Sarah walked to her car, she noticed a young girl, maybe 10 years old, watching her from the playground. The girl walked over shyly. "Are you really a Navy SEAL?" she asked. I'm retired now." "Were you scared when you were fighting bad guys?" Sarah knelt down to the girl's level. "Sometimes, fear is normal, but I had good training and good teammates. That made all the difference. I want to be strong like you when I grow up." Sarah smiled. "You know what? You already are strong. Being strong isn't about muscles or medals. It's about being kind when someone is mean to you. It's about standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. It's about doing the right thing even when it's hard." The girl's eyes were wide. Can girls really be Navy SEALs? Yes, it's not easy. It's probably one of the hardest things anyone can do. But if you work hard, if you never give up, if you believe in yourself, you can do anything you set your mind to. "Will you teach me?" Sarah laughed. "How about this? You focus on being a good person, working hard in school and being kind to others. When you're older, if you still want to be a SEAL, you come find me and I'll help you prepare." "Promise?" Promise. The girl ran back to her parents, who waved gratefully at Sarah. Sarah waved back and headed home. Her house was quiet when she arrived. She showered, changed into comfortable clothes, and made herself dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad. As she ate, she thought about the day, about Victoria's unexpected moment of vulnerability, about Alicia's newfound confidence, about the young girl who wanted to be strong. She thought about the $30,000 raised for veterans in crisis. She thought about the community that had come together, even if just for one day. And she thought about what came next. Because this wasn't the end of anything. This was just the beginning. Tomorrow, she'd start planning next year's event. She'd reach out to more veterans in the area. She'd continue building the kind of community she wanted to live in, one based on respect, support, and genuine strength. Victoria might change, she might not, but Sarah had done her part. She'd shown another way. The rest was up to Victoria and everyone else in Oak Ridge. As for Sarah, she'd finally found what she'd been looking for. Not just peace, not just quiet, but a place where she could continue to serve, even in retirement. A place where her experience, her skills, and her values could make a difference. A place she could call home. Sarah's phone buzzed one more time. It was a group text from Jennifer and Ashley. Same time next year. Sarah smiled and typed back, "Absolutely, but let's make it bigger." She put her phone down and looked out the window at the Oak Ridge sunset, orange and pink and gold, painting the sky over her small town. She'd survived enemy fire, impossible odds, and 20 years of the hardest service her country could ask of her. Surviving 3 mean girls at a gym, that had been easy in comparison. But building something positive from it, creating change, showing others what real strength looked like. That was the mission that mattered now. And like every mission she'd ever been given, Sarah Mitchell was going to complete it with honor, integrity, and excellence.